Masters, mistresses, the Doctor requires materials in order to maintain the TARDIS and ensure continued functionality. He similarly requires carbon-based comestibles to sustain his own biological functions and existence. Master would never say this, but he requires aid beyond that supplied by this unit in order to acquire these. To aid the Doctor in his various tasks and creations, this can be most effectively achieved via Patreon or Substack subscriptions, or through donations directly to PayPal. Or if you desire physical goods in return for your contributions, written accounts of my travels with the Doctor are also available on Amazon. Links are in the description below. Thank you, Masters, Mistresses.
Hi, Dr. Alex here, and welcome to a short and unscripted video on one of my unusual topics of laptop maintenance and alterations and upgrades. So this video, the audio is being recorded on my T420 workhorse laptop that I use for pretty much everything, but not actually usually doing the audio recording. The audio recordings I actually still do on that middle laptop you can see over there, which is a ThinkPad Edge 15, the first generation Edges with the generation 1 Intel processors. In this case, running with an i7, a newly upgraded i7 640M, which is doing a good job. Obviously, it's still way slower than the T420 because that's running an i7 quad core at the moment. Soon to be upgraded a little bit higher to an even higher spec quad core, but basically it's a lot faster than that old Edges over there. Nevertheless, the Edge serves a purpose, and I have been treating it to all the upgrades I can, except there's one thing I haven't been able to upgrade yet, or hadn't dared to, but I'm going to try it today. The T420 has got a 1600 by 900 monitor, which is not bad. Does the job for me anyway. The Edge has got, I always get this wrong, 1358 by 768 monitor, something like that. Lower res, let's put it that way, which is still fine, but most people say, ugh, it's terrible. It's fine, but I did wonder if it could be upgraded to a 1600 by 900 screen, which would be better. The thing is, it was never sold with one of those. 15.6 inch widescreen screen, but as I say, the lower spec, lower res ones were the only ones it ever came with. However, to its right, you can probably just see another toy I recently bought to play with, which is a ThinkPad T520. So similar in many ways to the T420 in terms of its internals. Also, it came with either the more crappy 1358 by 768 screen, or it could have the 1600 by 900, or even higher definition screens could be put into that one. And I wondered if the 1600 by 900 that could go in that might go in the Edge 15. And so I have bought Splat, a monitor for a ThinkPad T520 1600 by 900, and it's arrived, and I'm going to try and put it in the Edge 15, which it was never meant to run with. So I don't know if this is going to work. One of the reasons I think it might work, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I will show the disastrous results of my wrongness, is that although the T420s, you can upgrade and change the monitors quite easily if you've got the lower res one to a higher res one, you do have to change the cable that runs from a monitor to the actual motherboard itself. Whereas I've heard that for the T520 with the larger monitor, the 15.6 inch screen, you don't need to change the cable. You can just swap the monitors, and apparently the one cable it's supplied with will cover all the different resolutions of monitor it ever came with, which is interesting. Now, I do not know if the Edge 15's cable will support the 1600 by 900 or not, or just completely fail. But I'm going to try and find out. And if it doesn't work, I'll let you know. If it does, I'll let you know. And if it does fail, I'll stick the 1600 by 900 monitor into the ThinkPad T520, since that also has the lower res monitor, but it could cope apparently very happily with the higher 1600 by 900 monitor, so screen. So that's what I'm going to put into it. And as I'm talking, the two other laptops are turning the screens off to make it extra dull. But okay, I'll need to stop recording for a bit so I can actually do the swap taking the monitor out of its box. I won't bother with an unboxing. And then sticking it into the Edge 15. And then the second half of the video will be whether or not that worked. Okay, so I've swapped the screens. Obviously, I haven't done it fully. You can still see the original screen sitting there, not fully detached. But I've put the new screen, or connected the new screen, into the Edge 15 via the connector. So one thing, the connector will fit in terms of the right number of pins. It will send the signal. I don't know how well you can see this on screen, but it's not it's not showing the high res properly. It's sort of pixelated, and it's very much like if you try and put a 1600 by 900 screen into a T420 without changing the cable. It's the kind of image you get on that. So obviously the Edge 15's cable is not sufficient to run a 1600 by 900 resolution screen. I'm not going to do anything more with the Edge 15 except put it back to how it was before. What I will do is put the 1600 by 900 into the T520 I've bought and see if that works. And if so, then I will consider getting a T520's cable and seeing if it's possible to swap that in the Edge 15's cable, which might well get around the problem another way. Meanwhile, it's just decided to go to sleep. I should point out that when taking off the bezel for the Edge 15, unlike the T420 and I think the T520, it's screwed in. It actually has hidden screws in each of the corners for the bezel around the screen that you have to unscrew. Well, first uncover by leaving out the bezels, leaving out the covers, the little rubber square stoppers. Then you need to unscrew it. Then you can pull the bezel off in the way you would as if it was a T420 or T520. So that's one extra thing you have to look out for when you're taking apart the Edge 15. But that one thing aside, obviously it doesn't work quite with the high-res monitor, but it also doesn't not work with the high-res monitor. It's obviously showing something, and showing a picture is just pixely, and you need the better cable. Now, as I say, I'll try and get hold of the 520's cable and see if it'll work. I could take the one out of the 520 I've got, but I'd quite like to just see if the T520 works with a high-res cable, with a high-res screen as is. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. But so far, that is how far you can get with an Edge 15 without doing any further alterations to it. If you just change the screens over, the high-res will not work fully or properly. You won't get the full resolution you want. It's showing 1600 by 500, 1600 by 900 on the system diagnostics, and so it is putting out that, recognizing the monitor as being that, but it is not showing the image clearly. Anyway, I hope this was useful and has shown you what you can do so far, and I'll do further update videos with other things I do as I go. Anyway, to all my watchers and listeners, I hope this was useful, and until the next video, whatever that may be on, take care.